How's it going, video game lovers? Welcome back once again to We-videogames, and today is a really cool video. We have another top 10. This time is one of my favorite genres. It's survival horror. Yeah, survival horror on the PS2. So if you click on this video, I can probably assume that you like survival horror games and you like the PS2. And we can agree that finding a good survival horror game nowadays is probably a bit difficult to do. So, having a look at the PS2, which has an amazing library of games and definitely very good horror games, is definitely good. Please note that I haven't played every single horror game on the PS2. I played many of them, but not all of them. So, this is just my opinion, in my experience, what I believe are the top 10 games on this console. And let's not waste any more time before we get started. Please remember, yet again, to comment, share. Please like the video if you like it, and subscribe. Please support the channel so I can keep making this kind of content. Alright, let's get this video started. In the number 10 we have Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare. Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare is a very similar game to the classic Resident Evil games. Resident Evil 1, 2 and 3. If you like those games, you will feel welcomed by this game. Similar style, similar camera angles, tank controls, and similar gameplay. It's different enough to have a different experience. Is it better than the classic Resident Evils? No, definitely no. It's different, and in many places it's worst. The saving system is really bad. The story is not as good, and the characters are not as engaging as the Resident Evil. But the game is not bad. It's very similar. You find locked doors, you have to find how to unlock them, the puzzles, so you can continue the adventure. But the game is quite scary, and in many places I think it's more scary than the classic Resident Evil games. So it's a game I play, and it's a game I enjoy a lot. So give it a try. Again, not the best out there, but definitely a good game if you like the classic Resident Evil games. Give it a try. Number 9, we have Cold Fear. I spoke a little bit about Cold Fear on my top 10 PS2 underrated games. For me, Cold Fear is a very good survival horror game on the PS2. A game that not many people picked up when it was released, but definitely a game that deserves an opportunity. Cold Fear has very good graphics for the time. It plays very similar to Resident Evil 4, and that's a good thing. Of course, Resident Evil 4 is an amazing game. Is it better? Of course not. I mean, there are a lot of aspects of the game that I think are very well implemented. Many people don't like the fact that you don't have a map and you can get lost. To me, that's actually a positive. I like to explore, I like to think where I have to go, stuff like that. And to me, that's definitely a positive. But I do understand if many people don't like that aspect of the game. Graphics are really good, like I said. The only negative that I can find is that it's not very scary, and that's probably it. But the game is definitely a hidden gem and a very good survival horror game. Please give it a try. It takes place in a abandoned Russian tanker, and it's definitely a game to try out if you like survival horror games. Please give it a try. Hey, we got The Thing. The Thing was published by Konami, and it's an incredible survival horror game. This game is very different to other survival horror games. There is a lot of innovative aspects. The most innovative aspect of the whole game is the team management. So basically, you have a team, and they could either be a soldier, a medic, or an engineer. They all play a fundamental role within the game, but it is how they are feeling that you have to manage. They go through different emotions depending on how you play, what they see on the game, and it is up to you to keep them balanced in their emotions so they can perform at their best. They could drop out from in the middle of a gunfire fight if they're not feeling alright. So you can talk to them, you gotta monitor how they're feeling, they could be freak out, etc, different feelings. So that's really innovative aspect, because in many horror games you're just trying to focus on survive. But in here you have to rely on your friends to survive as well, so you have to keep them up. You have to keep them healthy and stuff like that. So really innovative. The graphics are really good for a PS2 game. The game is not as scary as other survival horror games, but definitely a good game to check. And at number 7 we have Forbidden Siren 2. Forbidden Siren was created and developed by Sony, and it was the sequel to the incredible Forbidden Siren 1. This is pure Japanese horror to the max. A very innovative, different horror game. And the most innovative aspect of this game is something called Sidejack. Sidejack is basically an ability that you given on this game to get into your enemy's eyes. So basically through this you know where your enemies are located, so you can plan your next move. Really interesting idea for a game, and it works. It actually works. It was implemented in the first game, and it's implemented in this one. This game is definitely easier than the first game. The first game was very difficult. That doesn't mean that this game is easy, not at all. This is one of the most difficult horror games on the PS2, definitely. But this Sidejack idea is really good. It just works, and this game has incredible atmosphere. So it's one of those games that don't rely too much on jump scares, although there are a few, but mostly on atmosphere. Definitely give it a try. Hidden gem. Probably the only weakness is the difficulty, but if you like survival horror games, this one is definitely a pure one. And if you haven't experienced it, please give it a try. Number 6, we have Project 03, or for all of you watching North America, Fatal Frame 3. This game is pure Japanese horror game. Probably out of all these pile of games, this is the scariest one. The atmosphere, the music, the graphics give this game an incredible atmosphere of horror. And the only weapon that you have, or the most important weapon that you have, is a camera. Yes, you heard me well, a camera. A camera and your ability to take photos of your enemies will determine if you survive or die. That's a very incredible aspect of this game. So this game is very good for those who love pure horror. Definitely better than number 1 and 2 in my opinion. Better graphics and actually better story. So give it a try if you like horror games and if you like puzzles, because this game has a lot of puzzles as well. So horror plus puzzles, a very very good game, very good atmosphere, very good music. Give it a try. Pure horror, probably the scariest game on this top 10. Number 5, we have the Xfiles Resist or Serve. This is a game I love. This is a game I recommend. Definitely a hidden gem. So many hidden gems on the PS2. And if you like the TV series, even more so. In this game you get to play as either Fox or Dana, the special agents, voiced by the real actors. The game, again, just like Alone in the Dark, is very similar to the classic Resident Evil games. So you got the similar style of camera angles, similar gameplay, shooting mechanics, etc. So, you know, if you like the classic Resident Evil games, you definitely feel at home with this kind of game. But the game is very good in many aspects. First, you get to play a total different campaign depending on who you choose. If you choose Fox or Dana, very different campaigns, so you're definitely not playing the same game. And the mechanics in the game is really good. The story is really good. The only bad things that I can say is the moving mechanics. They feel clunky, they feel weird, they definitely don't feel like Resident Evil. Not as good, of course, not the same quality, but definitely a hidden gem on the PS2. And if you like survival horror games, if you like the classic Resident Evil, give this game a go. You will definitely enjoy it, trust me, and you get 2 different campaigns. Give it a try. Number 4, we have Hunting Ground. This is an amazing survival horror game on the PS2, created and developed by Capcom. To me, this is kind of a combination between Outlast and Resident Evil. Resident Evil not in terms of the gameplay, but in terms of the mechanics. Mechanics such as camera angles, very similar to classic Resident Evils. The way you move, the way you interact with stuff and objects, very similar to the classic Resident Evils, which makes sense because it was created by Capcom. And Outlast because all you do, or mainly what you're doing, is running and running and running. Your ability to run and hide will determine if you live or die on this game. So you're constantly being chased by creatures, and I'm not gonna spoil anything. And you also have a very good companion, a dog called Huey. This dog will help you do a lot of things that you are unable to do, and together you have to survive this castle. So you basically locked in this castle. Everybody is chasing you, and you have to hide all the time. So a really interesting premises. That feeling of constantly being chased, that suspense is definitely what gives this game a good score on my opinion, and is high up on my rank at number 4. Definitely give it a try. A very expensive game nowadays, unfortunately, but a very good game if you like survival horror. Number 3, we have Clock Tower 3. Clock Tower 3 is nothing like the first 2 Clock Tower games. The first 2 Clock Tower games were point and click games on the PS1. I love them, but this game is totally different. This game plays more like Resident Evil and Silent Hill, which is definitely a positive. And the reason why this game scores so high up in my list is because I just love almost every aspect of this game. The gameplay, the story, the cutscenes, everything. The atmosphere, the music. The game is very good. It plays like a game I want to play. You experience both human enemies and ghost enemies. You can really defend yourself, so it's not action driven, but mostly just like hunting ground. You get to run and hide from your enemies, and the only real weapon that you get is holy water, and holy water that you can sprinkle on your ghost enemies. So it's difficult to survive. It's a difficult game, but it's really interesting if you like survival horror game. This is a survival horror game at its best, created by Capcom, and you can definitely feel the Resident Evil vibes in the game, but not so action driven. So it's pure horror with a very interesting story. So please give it a try. This game is a very good game for all horror games lovers. 2, yes, we have the incredible Silent Hill 2. This one is the special edition. I mean, what can I say about Silent Hill that we don't know, right? I mean, this game is just incredible in every aspect. Music, environment, gameplay, combat, you name it. The game is scary. The story is interesting in the beginning, but then, I mean, I'm not gonna spoil anything. That's probably the only weakness that I can find in this game, is how the story ends. Although you have different endings, but yeah, I didn't like it much. But the game is incredible. It improves from number 1, which is an incredible game. The fact that the environment, you don't really need jump scares to be scared. I mean, the environment will do the job, and that's what I really like to see on horror games. So survival horror games should be about the environment and the music giving you that fear, that suspense, and not rely on scare jumps, like I said. And this game is a master of doing that. Definitely an incredible game. Anyone, if you like survival horror games, I'll be very surprised if you haven't played this game. But this game is a masterpiece, and one of the most scary games on any platform there. For many people, this is the most scary survival horror game of all time. For me, ranked second on the PS2, and you will see why when I reveal my number 1 next. Give it a try. If you haven't done so, you should. Number 1, I don't know if you guys were expecting something different than the incredible Resident Evil 4. I mean, I love it. One of my favorite games of all time. Many of you will probably argue that it's not a horror game, and you know what? I'll be somewhat agreeing with you. I mean, this is an actual action survival horror game. This is when the Resident Evil series started to change towards a more action-driven gameplay. but in this game, there's still horror, right? So this is still a horror game. Um, Number 5 just changed the whole aspect of this, but number 4 is an amazing, is a masterpiece, is one of the best games ever created, and it's just everything is good. I mean, the story is good, the gameplay is amazing, the shooting mechanics are amazing, fighting mechanics are amazing, atmosphere is incredible, the characters. What probably the strongest point of Resident Evil 4 is the characters. You know, Leon and the villains and the zombies and, well, you know, the Illuminados. And every aspect of this game is just incredible. The bosses, the bosses are incredible. The only weakness that I can find on this game is probably the fact that you have to babysit the president's daughter. And you know, you don't really get that freedom because you have to protect someone from not getting killed and stuff like that. But apart from that, everything is amazing. I love Ramon Salazar, Luis. Every character in this game is just a fundamental part of the game. A masterpiece, and definitely the best survival horror game on the PS2, if not the best survival horror game ever. So if you haven't tried it, which is probably impossible, this game is played by everyone and loved by most people. If you haven't, give it a try. Definitely give it a try. And that's that. Those are my top 10 horror or survival horror games on the PS2. I hope you really enjoyed the video. Thanks again so much for tuning in. Survival horror games, you know, they're difficult to review because, you know, they're very different, and some people may like this kind of horror, some people may like the other kind of horror. You know, it's not easy, and it's difficult to find nowadays really good survival horror games, but I reckon the PS2 is probably the console that has the greatest survival horror games out there. I have so many more that I played that I'll probably create a second video of this because there are so many more survival horror games out there that are incredible. Hope you enjoyed the video. This is just my opinion, of course. I mean, the Kuon and Ruler Rose are incredible survival horror games that I unfortunately haven't played because I don't own them. I may emulate them, but I prefer to buy them and then play them, but we'll see. Yeah, and there's probably many more out there that I haven't played that are really good. So thanks so much again for tuning in. Please give it a thumbs up if you like this video. Comment, share, and please subscribe. Support the channel. We keep making this kind of content. And I hope you have a nice day and take care. See you in the next one.